everyone, I'm Carol Carnes. Welcome to Living Consciously. You know, we have elders in our spiritual traditions, and some of them were around not so long ago, the 20th century and certainly the 19th century. In fact, there was a spate of them in the 19th century that were making some wonderful discoveries. People such as Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, a clockmaker, a watch repairman, who discovered hypnotism and made some really astonishing discoveries through the use of mind and its part in healing. Another one was a woman named Emma Curtis Hopkins. She's one of my favorites. She's one of my heroes, if you will, spiritual heroes. And she was a woman who had a classical education, which was very rare in those days in the 1800s. And she lived until 1925 and taught some of the greatest spiritual teachers of the 20th century, either for a short time or for a long time. And one of them was Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded what we call the science of mind, and today generically known as New Thought. Emma Curtis Hopkins was a mystic and a brilliant woman. And at age 26, and younger, she was traveling the United States in hot, dusty trains and setting up meetings, healing meetings for the public, and she had some really amazing results. So I want to start off with something from her, not a direct quote, but something she talked about. And she said, we can't really understand the fraction unless we know the whole. We can't know what the flesh, the physical life, really is unless we have some understanding of the spirit. And we certainly can't be the master of effects if we don't know what cause is. And so this New Thought teaching that I'm involved in and have been involved in for almost 40 years is really about discovering what the cause of things is. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about knowing the wholeness. We're calling today's talk the whole shebang. I have no idea what a shebang is, but I know it's used in this context of talking about, or the whole enchilada, right? So when we're talking about New Thought spirituality, we're talking about finding the cause which stems from the wholeness that's behind what appears to be the fraction. And that's the diversity or the multiplicity of forms. That would be the individualization of something that is in itself formless. So we call that spirit or the universal cause or universal intelligence. All right, so that which appears before us, now I'm talking today about your life, I'm talking about your money life, your health, your relationships, the way you see the world, and which is really interesting right now, what's going on in it. Most of us see through the lens of a limited idea, and indeed we always will. I don't mean we'll never grow. Of course we do. Our ideas expand and they get bigger, but what I mean is we're dealing with an infinite possibility. So our ideas will never be as big as what's possible, but they start moving out. So the limitation of an idea becomes real to us when we don't see the limitless source behind it. This is where everybody gets caught up. You know, the spiritual teacher from Christianity, Jesus, said, be in the world but not of it, and this is exactly what he meant. That don't get mired down in the effects of your life, your bank account, even your health at the moment, or your relationships, but rather see behind them what is causing the particular shape they're in, the particular form they're taking. What is producing the limitation? Now, the question is, if spirit is behind everything and is cause to everything, can it produce limitation? Well, it can produce what appears to be limitation because it's producing the content of our mind. It's producing our perception, our highest ideas, our expectations, that which we believe is possible for us. You know, that's one of the things that really we want to expand in our life. I want every one of us to realize there's so much more possible for us than we thought, than we were taught, even what our religions taught us. that really we can experience life on so much of a higher level than we have been in every area. But it starts from the whole, which is this field of mind we call imagination. That's where it starts. And it becomes particularized, or the whole becomes the fraction, as our personal experience, which you could see gives everybody their own experience. So we're not all having the same experience of money. We're not all having the same experience of vitality or health or love or anything else. So spirit, or the whole field, produces appearances of our concepts, our largest ideas. Now, it doesn't know it has produced a limitation. It only knows to fulfill the mold that we give it. You know, it's like a sculptor or a potter, or there's certain, well, it's like my son is a jewelry designer, and he makes wax forms that become a mold for the metal, the gold, the platinum, whatever he's working with. Oh, that's what thoughts are like. They're like a mold that spirit pours itself into, and it reveals itself as a form in our life. So this is why what is known as spiritual practice is so important to us. We want to keep our mind stayed on the whole, so that when we go out into the world of the particular expression, or the world of effects, we're not thrown by them. You know, this is seeing through the appearance and judging righteously. This is not judging by appearances, but looking at the cause. You can change anything in your life if you can get at the cause of it. The cause is never out there. That's an effect of what's in here. I know that's counter to what most people were taught, but it's not such a crazy idea anymore. Quantum physics is pointing us in this direction. The most advanced studies in the human mind are pointing us in this direction, that we have not something to say about what happens to us, but everything. That life is so for us and so not against us, that it produces by means of us those ideas and beliefs that we hold to be true for us. And that's why spiritual practice is important, because what meditation does, and what a certain kind of contemplation does, is raise our self-esteem. It raises our sense of who we are. We begin to see ourselves as part of that whole. You know, I remember when I first started studying this, I may have mentioned this before, but I think it bears repeating. It was like my second year of study. I was in class, and all of a sudden I got it, because he was using the word God instead of cause, God instead of source, and okay, I didn't come from a religious background, so I didn't have too many negative ideas about the word God. But one day it just hit me. Oh, God is being me. In other words, I'm an expression of it. I'm a fraction of the whole. That something invisible has made itself visible as this life, as your life, as everybody's life, as the whole physical universe, a field of intelligence that has erupted into visibility. It's a big subject, but the way to think about it is you are never separate from the source of your life. And the source of your life has qualities: love, joy, peace, vitality, supply, and creative intelligence, that are the building blocks of human experience. You see, they're our spiritual DNA. And that's all we need. All we need is the power of love, and the power of joy, and the power of peace, and the power of vitality, and the power of supply and intelligence. That's all you need to build an amazing life. And we're doing it all the time. This is what most people don't know. They don't realize they're playing with God all the time, or playing in the field of wholeness to bring about, or revealing. Revealing is a good word for this. We're not creating, we're revealing something that's already present, and that uses us as a way in, if you will, or as a vehicle for its expression. So remember, this is a profound statement from Hindu scripture, the Vedas. It says, to know God is to know the self. To know the self is to know God. They're one and the same thing. And of course, That seems crazy if we're still caught up in some old ideas about God. Most of the religious explications of God are metaphors, and they are, or analogies, and they are anecdotal way of giving the human mind images that it can accept easily, and that's where we got the man in the sky thing, which of course is a very limited idea and pretty ridiculous. But as a metaphor, it's fine. We think of it as power. Unfortunately, it's strictly masculine power, and that's a whole other talk, which I do quite often. But point being, we've come too far to not let our ideas about the universe evolve along with science. Science and spirituality go hand in hand. They're made for each other. Okay, so we are not fractions of the whole. We are the whole individualized. I love that. Someone said, I think it was Ernest Holmes, we are spirit personified. It has turned itself into personalness by means of the life we're living. So when we don't follow the truth, then the truth is that we are co-creating, if you will, our personal life with the use of our imagination and our beliefs and our concepts and our self-identity, then we are in error. And when there's an error in those things, there tends to be an error in the revelation, the revealing that we're doing. We call it a problem. We call it a challenge. We call it a sickness. You see, health, love, prosperity, these things are real. They're not temporary. Sickness is temporary. Poverty is temporary. Loneliness is temporary. And if they were not, we would all be sick. We would all be lonely. We'd all be poor. But we're not, right? So the old question, which master do you serve? That applies here. Do we look for the good and praise it? You know, that's an old one from Christianity. I love it. Just about every spiritual tradition on the planet has do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And every one of them has some version of that. And they also have some version of look for the good and praise it, which means keep your mind stayed on the good, the true, and the beautiful. Stay tuned in to the whole field. Don't get caught up and mired in the effects. Just understand that they are all temporary. If sickness were not temporary, no one would ever recover from anything. How do they recover? They are restored in the wholeness that we call health. Vitality is an energy that is running the universe. It's the energy of love, actually, of wholeness, of oneness. And vitality transmutes itself through the human mind, the human concepts, the human self-identity, the human belief system, into what we call health. You know, most people think they don't believe in sickness, but they do. In fact, Marianne Williamson once said during the AIDS crisis, we believe more in the power of a germ to kill us than we believe in the power of spirit to heal us or to restore us in its image and likeness. So we are bombarded with images on TV about sickness and bodily conditions and getting old and this and aches and pains and take a drug and all that stuff, so that there's a collective belief in disease. But you personally, each one of us personally, needs to get really clear how we feel about that. And we need to state loudly, I am wholeness personified. I am the vitality of spirit made manifest. I am ageless. My energy is spiritual energy. It's inexhaustible, and I can never run out of it. Now, say the same thing about money. Money is a vehicle. It's a revealing of the inexhaustible supply that spirit is and that we have access to. Great ideas. More to say on that when we come back from our commercial break. We have some wonderful sponsors. We're grateful for them. We thank them in advance and pay attention to what they have to say. Might be something just for you. In the meantime, stay tuned in. We'll be right back.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. Call the number on your screen right now to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business. According to the secret war, banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get the secret war free. Call the number on your screen or visit online.
Hi everyone, this is Carol Carnes again with Living Consciously. Well, we were talking today about how the whole becomes the parts and how the parts are never actually separate from the whole. Let's put this in religious language if you want to. God and you are one. God is being you. The I of you is the great I am of the universe. You know, scientists are beginning to say the universe is conscious. That's what they mean. It's a field of awareness, a field of intelligence. So we've been talking today about how our own mind, our own self-image, our own beliefs actually shape and form what that whole field does through us. You see, it never withholds anything. God has never punished anybody, ever, and never will. It only responds. It responds by corresponding to our highest idea, to our self-image, our self-identity, to our expectations. So we talked in the first hour about looking for the good and praising it. What does this mean, really? It means keep your mind tuned in to that which is trying to happen. What is trying to happen? Prosperity is trying to happen. Supply, the inexhaustible supply that made this universe out of itself and everything in it, is trying to come through you, to be revealed by you as your personal use of supply. What do you have a use for? You see, what we have a use for, we tend to participate in, and we tend to be actively involved in, and we tend to be resupplied with that all the time. Things come to us as we use them. So if we're using love, we get more love. If we're using prosperity, that means we're generous with our supply. We spend our money wisely, and we are grateful all the time. Gratitude is a really powerful energy for shifting things in your life. You know, most people are always concentrating on what they think is missing, and it's okay to notice what seems to be missing so that you can expand your concept of it, because if it's missing in our life, it's missing in our mind. We have a limited idea of it, so that's where we start. We start by going back to the whole field, the big shebang, I'm calling it, and bringing it forth through our imagination and our intention and our action. You see, when we get a good idea and it's alive in us, it's an energy, and it tends to move our feet, we tend to become actively involved with it, and that's how we begin to co-create it. We begin to use it, and it begins to supply itself, resupply itself over and over again. So the only way to make life different than it is now is to be willing to drastically change our thinking. So I want you to think about that today. Look at your money life and say, am I willing to drastically change how I see my relationship to spirit and supply? Now, what would a drastic change be? Well, it would be shifting away from the notion that the economy is causing your prosperity or not. It would be taking away the idea that effects of the past, like your current condition is an effect of the past, have the ability to replicate themselves. No, they don't. The cause is greater than effect. So the cause must be changed. Are you willing to drastically shift how you see yourself in this universe? That's the key right there, is to know I am the visible expression of an infinite life that knows itself as me. You see, we're the way in for God, if you will. We're the way this wholeness becomes what looks like a part, a particularization, a personification. Okay. So we must begin to see the good we desire as normal. See, it's not hard to get. Health isn't hard to get. Wealth isn't hard to get. Peace isn't hard to get. Love isn't hard to get. They are normal. They are part of the wholeness that make up our spiritual DNA. Prosperity is available now. It's a state of mind that sees supply everywhere, that counts its blessings, that shares its good. And so a prosperous mind is one that says, everything I do prospers me, and everything that prospers me prospers everyone I meet. You see, it's a mindset. We begin to see that we're involved in it. We're in the midst of prosperity. We're not trying to get it. God doesn't dole out favors. It comes through us, not to us. It just appears as an effect, and it seems like it's out there. It's an extension of our mind. Oh boy, is that a big subject, quantum physics. Yeah, it says there's nothing out there but potentialities that are, here's my new affirmation that I made up out of studying a little bit of quantum physics. I am a quivering mass of potentiality. I'm not talking about my belly fat either. I'm a quivering mass of potentiality, and so are you. Life is a quivering mass of potential that we tap into with our mind. So I'm trying to give you some ideas to how to use this mind of ours. It's not difficult. Health is largely connected to moving forward in life. How vital are you about your life? How excited are you to be alive? How much do you love being you? Do you have ideas? Are you busy connecting and doing things in the world? That produces health. When someone comes to me in counseling with an illness and they want some healing, I always have to ask them, why do you want to be healthy? What are you going to do with it? See, there's the key. Health is associated with an eagerness to get on with it, with a sense of, I love being me, I want to live this life full out while I'm here. And I'm ready to change, I'm ready to move, I'm ready to do new things. That's healthy. And that produces physical states. You know, when you get sick, it's because you know what they say, your resistance is down? You're resisting life. You may be resisting the relationship you're in, or resisting the work you're doing, or resisting your children who don't talk to you anymore, or resisting the world and the news. It makes you sick, literally, because it breaks down the energy. And the body needs energy to stay healthy. So, happiness, moving forward, being excited to be you, that produces great states of health. Mental health starts first, right? So what can you say about love? Well, it's persistent. It's always active in us. It wants an object. You see, you start with you. You're the first object love wants. It wants you to love yourself. And that makes love very active in you, and then you become attractive because you're radiating it, right? I spoke last week in Toronto, and one of the things I said was that sometimes when you work on your self-esteem and your self-love, you realize that you weren't really seeking a relationship. What you were seeking was that feeling of being in love with yourself, in love with being. Really, really important. So love is an inner feeling of well-being. It's feeling one with the whole. It's knowing you're never separate from it. And it desires nothing but to be fully present and alive in this moment. Really, really powerful. So today is a good day to change your thinking drastically. Don't be afraid to think big. Give it a shot, see what happens. You'll be surprised. Without our active participation, which begins in mind, life will continue to seem to favor everyone but us. And that's the worst error in thinking we can ever make. Life is for you, never against you. There's a power for good in this universe. It's available to everyone, and you use it when you think. All right, we're closing this edition of Living Consciously, but just a few reminders that we do have a Sunday gathering at the Mesilla Town Hall Community Center, not Town Hall, but the Community Center on Calle de Santiago at 10:30. We have a great time together. I do talks like this, and I give you a chance to ask me questions and discuss, and we do a little bit of meditation as well. You'll also want to get on our website, mvcsl.com, and you'll find out about coming events. You can make a donation. We would love for you to donate to us. We are looking for your participation in our wealth, as I'm sharing these ideas with you gladly, and I hope they're prospering you. So you can do that via our website and make it through PayPal. And we do have some classes in this teaching, which will be coming up in September, maybe a month or so from now. I'll let you know next time. In the meantime, you can get on my website, carolcarnes.com, and you can read my daily Living Consciously message on my website. I write one every day. And we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. These shows are shown on YouTube, so tell your friends. Okay? I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I love sharing these ideas with you. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned in.